as I said, Bob, I remember Alfa from my childhood and associations with a lot of popular culture and a lot of romance as a premium brand. Tell us a little, why don't we define where Alfa is now in recent years and how it's evolved as it's coming back into the US market?
Yeah, so if you're new to Alfa Romeo, so the brand actually, it's a 100-year-old brand. And it's something that's been around really the globe for some time. However, after really a 25-year absence in the United States over the last 4 years, we've had a unique opportunity of bringing back really one of the most historic brands, really from an aspirational standpoint. And the brand today, it really, and I think the creative also showcases just sort of, you use the word romance. There's a sex appeal to having an Italian brand like this, and cars that truly, truly perform on the track and the street. They're throughout, best power to class weight ratios, lightweight architectures, but stunning style and precision that I think customers kind of admire and often go after.
And tell us a little bit about that ad and those two models, because they're part of the push too, and how that, how that ad evolves, but also why and how you chose to use two different models in an ad.
Yeah, so for us, obviously, the American buyer is still learning what is Alfa Romeo and trying to drive our awareness up. Leveraging those two vehicles, they're based off the same architecture, both lightweight, but obviously our first chance to bring a UV to the marketplace. So we wanted to showcase not only can our car, the Giulia, as you would expect, really perform dynamically, but our UV can as well. So having really the two stars of the brand, the two volume nameplates of our brand, both new to the marketplace, both needing awareness gains, that ad really showcased not only sort of the history of Alfa and just sort of what the perception and the feel of the brand should be, those tangible, quantifiable elements, but as well as the driving dynamics of the cars. And what's crazy about that ad is their ability, I mean, that was actually, it's no CG, that was two professional drivers on a track. Moving two cars that close between one another really drove some incredible piece of content and creative.
And with the song association, with the brands, with the styling, who are you targeting as you're coming into the market?
Oh, so Alfa is very strategically positioned as a premium brand. We want it to be sold as premium with that sort of Italian luxury heritage, but also a volume brand. So it's strategically positioned against our other German counterparts. It's clearly going after something that they cookie cutter do over and over again. And I think we have a very unique approach and style to what Alfa Romeo is all about. So
you came into the market, and especially with a Super Bowl ad. So tell us about the Super Bowl ad that happened.
Well, look, Super Bowl, obviously. I mean, you're going to find very few venues on the planet that you're going to be able to drive that many eyeballs to something. So I think in almost a slightly arrogant fashion, in order to do the very first thing that you're going to do with this brand is go right after the Super Bowl and tell everyone that we're here. But also from a strategic standpoint, our ability to fill the funnel right away, get a lot of visits to the website, see massive incrementality from a Super Bowl spot, also gave us the opportunity to have people inside the funnel that we can now target, recommunicate to, leverage some of that data, and see really who is aspirationally going after Alfa Romeo.
So what kind of results did you see off of that?
Oh, I skyrocketed tenfold. I don't know, Nate can give you some crazy statistic.
Now we're in a digital age. We're in a digital age, though, and there had to be bean counters involved who were saying, "Oh, the waste of a Super Bowl ad." All the people who you're never going to get to buy an Alfa, who are seeing that ad.
Oh, strangely enough, I mean, you're talking to the guys at FCA that I think for years have kind of made a staple of what the Super Bowl could be and how you can artistically tell a story, not only of a brand evolving, but as a company that came out of bankruptcy all the way to what FCA is today. When you're on the Super Bowl, it clearly states to everybody in the industry, you're strong, you are proud, you have a message, you have something to say, as well as strategically driving traffic. So I don't think FCA looks at it as a bean counter point of view. And clearly on Alfa, I mean, people need to be made aware that Alfa exists. And as you guys probably know better than anybody, I mean, driving awareness takes time. Takes a detailed, focused plan to continue to do it the right way.
Okay, so you needed to make a brand statement, and that was part of the Super Bowl ad. Let's talk. And you mentioned that it had a history. It had a history that it had to come out of and sort of work out of. How did the voice evolve? How has the voice of Alfa evolved through this?
Well, the voice particularly, if you think about so you're really starting from scratch within an old school history, back 60s and 70s, last time it was here. From a voice standpoint, at first, we just wanted the phrase, the word, the essence of what Alfa Romeo is supposed to be into the marketplace. But once you evolve from, okay, now we've established Alfa's out there, we basically want to leverage data to be very, very finite in who's starting to engage with the brand and then where we can go with that. So the voice has transitioned from all the way to, hey, Alpha exists, it's back in the United States, all the way to here are the key purchase reasons based on a data standpoint. Not only that, where are these people actually located? 60% of all of our volume comes from New York, Miami, and LA. You can add up pretty much the other 10% of the volume is Houston, Dallas area, and Chicago. So it allows us to get hyper-focused and deliver addressable advertising, addressable media. We can get very targeted with digital and deliver a particular kind of message, the actual type of person that we're getting. You know, we know we skew over mail. The top purchase reason is fun to drive. The second reason is style. So any of our messaging, our communication, any of our really dynamic creative that we have is going to revolve around those types of elements. Is, okay, here's the path of least resistance, but one thing that we're not getting is the female buyer. And part of the launch with Stelvio was to showcase not only do you have a great empowering vehicle, but you've also got the storage functionality that an everyday household might want. So I think it does really two things for you. It allows you to find, here's the path of least resistance of who we're getting today, and then here's what I'm not getting. So as we evolve the strategy, the creative, you can take a little bit different approach to drive that home.
Now, we didn't talk about the social virality of that piece that we just showed. Will you tell a little bit about the social impact and how the ways in which you saw it distributed online?
Oh yeah, there's no, look, I think we got a bit of a history, particularly with the creative team that we have. I mean, you look at Olivier Francois and his team, it starts with him. We've got 3 really unique partners with Marissa Hunter, Susan Thompson, and just them own a different part of it, and working with the brand team. From a viral standpoint, if you take the marketing creative that those guys deliver, as well as a strategic viral message, and you're not afraid to be outside the box, cut through the clutter, find something very unique about your ad, people certainly will drive to it, they'll want to post it, they'll retweet it. That's all part of what we try to do strategically. And anybody in here can take a massive budget and buy a whole bunch of media and put my ad all over the place. But the ability to get a sort of, I'll call it an unfair share of attention through viral, and making sure that that message is out in the marketplace, that's what makes the difference when we talk about bean counters and getting a higher return on your investment.
Were you learning anything about the audience as you were doing that and getting that feedback, seeing the virality, seeing who was sharing in the social media? Were you getting a deep, more targeted or more precise understanding of who this really was resonating with that maybe surprised you?
Actually, you know, I think the part that surprises me is just, even though people might not know it, the household income, the type of demographic, the type of person that's migrating to Alfa Romeo and their level of expectation from an experience standpoint, it happened faster than I thought. There was an allure to it. There's something about being an Italian brand that is not something that you see every day on the road. There's a lot of people that want something different. They want a particular cachet that they would see, particularly with their purchase. And I think that we've picked that up very, very quickly. And a lot of the viral that you talked about, positioning in the marketplace, made a huge difference in that standpoint.
And now talking about targeting and maybe finding surprising audiences, you also did a partnership that fascinates me with, it's called Unity Technologies, which is a company, for those of you not familiar with, Unity probably drives a lot of the first-person video games that a lot of you play. Is probably driven by Unity Technologies' 3D platform. And you partnered with them to do a special execution. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what that execution was, and particularly why you partnered with them and what you got out of it?
Yes, them particularly. Look, they're capable of delivering some pretty cool video games, some exciting stuff. What I thought the allure really was when we talked about this campaign is how can we take an ad, all right, and then make it fully 360 encompassing and drive incremental engagements and get them down to our website. So the video game usage was, not only did it take the message that you saw inside the creative, but then it drove an engagement level through the video game and then to our website. We've had 85,000 people have already played the game in just about 2 weeks, and all of them we continue to migrate to our website. The website traffic is up substantially because of it, and I think it also increases the level of engagement, providing what I'll call sort of a virtual test drive. I mean, it's one thing for me to showcase to you, oh yeah, hey, these cars are amazing, here's the footage, et cetera, but then when you can also give yourself some sort of virtual experience on there, driving the video, playing the video game, and then driving you right to the site, all encompassed on our website, it's a pretty cool combination. And ultimately, the way I judge the scorecard is, look, if I gave my marketing team, all right, here's X millions of dollars, et cetera, well, what can you go get for me? But if I could take that same budget, get this much more from an online perspective, and then increase the engagement at the time on my site, again, then you start to get a better return.
How did you distribute it? How are people finding that?
Oh, actually, so we've leveraged social media, YouTube. You can find it through the game. We also had a press release that we put out there. I think our combination of leveraging a press release, letting people know that it's out there, tying it to the creative, and then finding it across our social platforms makes a world of difference of quickly communicating that something like that exists.
So you're coming back into the U.S. market as a premium brand. So tell us a little bit about how you're doing that targeting and finding those consumers.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about the regional variations, right. But essentially for us, obviously you got all of your digital data through your website. We got third-party surveys. There's really auto shows, a whole bunch of other areas where we can start to garner and capture through surveys, whichever dynamic. But really the key to us is, okay, I got all this data. What does it see? Where do you want to go? Where is and we talked about the path of least resistance. How do you capitalize on that type of traffic? Right, because it's one thing great if I drive all this traffic, but if I'm not actually converting into a sale at the showroom, then I'm not doing what I need to do. Mm-hmm. So I think between us and the dealers, we found a pretty compelling relationship to deliver on that.
Well, that brings us to that landing page, because I know that you guys made a significant investment in revamping your website experience. Yeah. And tell us sort of walk us through how you reconceptualized what the website should be to satisfy all those needs that you just outlined.
Yeah, the website in particular was really a massive undertaking, and the team that went through the exercise. So to give you guys a little bit of understanding, is most websites, most OEMs, I think they have really a traditional interface, a traditional build and price. Build and price is easily one of the biggest traffic driving resources for us. So we decided to completely gut it, start over with a mobile first application. And the reason what drove that is we know that 65% of our traffic today comes from mobile devices. So if you're going to have people on their phones looking inside into your brand, it's going to be imperative that the experience on your iPhone, on your Android, whatever it might be, delivers a premium type of experience. So I encourage you to go onto our website, take a look at it on your phones and compare it to some other manufacturers. Starting with a mobile-first application can really change the entire dynamic of what the experience is like for the customer. And we all know in this day and age, the speed by which you can deliver your information will only help your conversion and drive an extra lead.
Now, how is that connecting down the tiers towards the local level and local dealer
almost immediately, we saw a 10-point lift in conversion, which if you take the mathematically a 10-point lift in conversion, it pays for itself infinitely. So while there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into changing it, the benefits are overwhelming.
Were you making sure, in working at the more local level, you were making sure that experience was carried through to the end?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I think you'll see that on our site.
Okay. Beyond digital and TV, you guys are also still well invested into experiential marketing. Tell us a little bit about your presence and your sponsorship presence, especially with in various events, and how that fits into the mix then.
Yeah, so let's, when it comes to experiential, obviously, look, anytime we can showcase what a car is capable of doing at an event for our consumers, clearly that's a place you want to go with experiential marketing. But for a brand like Alfa Romeo that's very performance-oriented, experiential events allow us not only to showcase what these cars are capable of doing, but to get test drives, drive incremental sales. But one of the pieces that I think is often overlooked is the ability to capture content. All of us today are looking for content. You're looking for creative ways to articulate a story. And we can take experiential events, showcase the content of people doing this, so that if you're not capable of coming to one of our events, you can see other people real world having an incredible and amazing experience inside of an Alfa Romeo that drives home that type of experience. And then I will call them more your cookie cutter, your concours d'elegance, some of these other events. I mean, if premium buyers are in that marketplace, we know that. Then we are expected to be there, and that's a place you'll continuously see us. That's the kind of thing where an Alfa Romeo buyer should be, and if you truly are going to deliver a premium product, you need to be able to hold your own at those events.
No, that's an interesting point that I hear more and more brands make across a lot of categories, is thinking of events within a new social economy, that events now in many ways replace or are the new kind of TV shoot. Where you're creating content that can then become media online.
Yeah, there's no question. Anytime you can lever expenses to get more content and actually even shoot a creative, put it in your ad, showcase it on your website, showcase it on even social channels. All of that stuff matters to continue to drive home the story. Because especially in a brand like Alfa Romeo, if you're not familiar and you start to follow it, the more and more touch points that we can have with you will only help the conversions that much further.
How about auto shows?
So
what role does an auto show play in all of this with such a cacophony of cars up there?
Yeah, you know, it's so I think, I don't know, I've had interviews all day today, and I think people have asked me over and over again, what do I think of auto shows? For us in particular, while whatever the attendance numbers may be, when you're launching a brand new brand like Alfa, where else am I going to find a venue where I can sit down with not only our consumers, but I can also sit down with the media, agencies, et cetera, and drive home the story that we're telling. I mean, the ability to sit down with journalists or even agency partners and explain, hey, here's where we're at. Here's where the story, here's where we're progressing, and here's kind of what we need, as well as an opportunity to actually sell cars and leverage the entire story through PR. I don't think you're going to find a better culmination of all of those things in one-stop shop. Not to mention in New York, of all places. And if you can succeed here with a premium brand, what better place to do it in New York?
Are there other venues where you can create press buzz beyond auto shows, where you're finding where you can really engage the press and create media buzz?
Yeah, there's no question. Look, I mean, later today, we're going to showcase 2 completely exclusive, brand new production models over in our display, and the amount of attention that we'll receive from the media and our partners, et cetera, to get people excited about the brand. You'll rarely find an opportunity to be able to tell that story and slow down and really articulate it. It's so much more impactful than sending out a press release and just copy paste, send it out. I'd much rather be able to articulate the story and why these things are special.
How have all of these media channels changed your relationship to the press itself, in terms of the ways in which you relate to journalists and even the ways you define journalists in a broader world of blogging and social influencers?
Yeah, so look, I think in the automotive world, I think it's super easy to follow the traditional, all right, here's all the core books that we go to, the buff picks, and don't get me wrong, they all matter. They absolutely matter because it legitimizes what you're doing. But dismissing all of the social implications and the opportunities that you'd see through that is certainly something that needs to be paid attention to. And when you do these types of reveals and these types of conversations, I think it's something you can gravitate to quickly to drive home those messages over those touch points. As far as PR is concerned, I mean, I think you'll find very few teams in the auto industry where I've got Nate Bulow and Bears. I mean, these guys are sitting right here together. They sit next to each other all day on the floor. I couldn't be more passionate about the ability to not only leverage the marketing budget, but the PR budget as well, and systematically place those touch points to drive traffic. We can prove that we can drive traffic to our website just through PR statements alone. So leveraging those two together, and PR in most cases, look, it's just effort, right? Coming out here talking to you guys, revealing a car later on today at 3:30, all that stuff's just effort. And it really can get a massive bang for the buck to surround what's always a very difficult revenue and cost conversation when it comes to advertising.
Okay, let me end this, and please, I want to leave time for questions, so think of some questions. I want to bring this full circle back to TV then. So we've talked about all these other things after the Super Bowl ad and all of the other pieces of the plan. So going forward, where does TV play a place in this? How much TV advertising do you do over the long term after the Super Bowl ad?
Oh,
what
after
kind?
a Super Bowl?
Yeah, and you know, moving forward, what place does TV play for you?
So I think it's really a twofold type of strategy. I think, like, if you look at what we did last month, we were very heavy on March Madness. You've got a combination of eyeballs. We're going to hit a lot of people in a hurry, not necessarily driven to be super targeted. Whereas me personally, I love seeing the combination of not only giant awareness campaigns around March Madness, but then following it with very targeted addressable TV. On top of that, we usually spend, hold me, say half Nate, half TV, half broadcast, the other half's digital. It's typically the way the spend breaks out. Obviously, you got your portions experiential and social, but essentially that's the way our budgets, I like half of it being super targeted. I'll call another half of the half addressable TV and targeted, and the rest driven
Is
awareness.
addressable TV in the TV bucket or the digital bucket?
Sorry, addressable?
Yeah.
TV? We keep it in our broadcast budget.
Okay.
But I'm usually
you're dividing TV between big broadcast, big events, and also those addressable.
Absolutely. Yeah, we see that in there, and obviously it allows me to target. I can get very, very strategic with household income, certain type of buyer. We can follow you with retargeting. The addressable TV is super advantageous, particularly if I want to target Miami. So if I want to target somebody, it's 160,000 household income that lives in Miami around the dealerships. The other key component why I like addressable so much, if you look at our network, look, I'm still building the network. I've only got 165 stores. So if I spend a whole bunch of time driving traffic across the country, but I've got no store there, I just wasted my time.
Right.
And unique platforms like addressable allow me to do that. Very, very targeted.
Yeah, geo is especially for addressable.
Absolutely.
Geo is really one of those key strengths. We have some questions from the audience for Alfa. Over here, I think. Can we get a microphone over?
Yeah, I can yell it. Hi, Denise Blasevic, the S3 agency. I know we're talking about a lot of the sexier art forms of marketing, but what role does email play for you?
Actually, email, it's simple and clean. If you want to get down to a tier 2, tier 3 message with a simple email blast about an incentive change or any of the pricing opportunities we got in the marketplace, you get a right database and the right people that you're obviously monitoring. You don't want to waste your money. But very clearly, I mean, you can target email. We get a return off of it. If you get, depending on your owner base, I mean, you can get like a 1-2% return off of a very, I'd say, act now type message in the marketplace. Like we make a $500 move or a $1,000 move, particularly with an e-lead. I like to leverage that with an e-lead where somebody says, hey, we came in, they didn't buy it, we couldn't convert them, hit them with another $750 offer after that. We actually see a lot of be-backs and get people back into the showroom off of a tactic like that. So email certainly has its place. Clean, simple, one quick, fast communication. I think you can definitely drive traffic and sales off of it.
Another one? Yep.
Hi, Nathan Winston from Outfront. Just wanted to see if you could expound on your last comment a second ago of how you like to have kind of big tentpole, big awareness plays matched with the addressable and the targeting. It makes sense on the face, but then you made a comment of, if you wouldn't target specifically, then you've got a lot of waste if it's not around stores. So how do you view the pairing specifically of doing those big kind of tentpole franchises or being around those big moments like March Madness, et cetera, with the addressable? Why do you find that works for you? Well, so and it might be more really our particular situation, but if you look at our funnel metrics and visits as well as conversions through the middle of the funnel, the biggest battle that we have is one, I've only got a 54 awareness. So we've only been here, right, for about 3 years, I'll call it actual heavy in advertising. So clearly at the top of the funnel, we need to drive a lot more visits and keep it up there so I know what my conversion ratios are. We find that we get a lot more of our lower funnel activity off of those visits when I can use more of the addressable to start driving them down through the funnel. Also, which a part that you can't really measure, when you've got a dealer group that's investing the millions of dollars they are into the store, there is just an emotional good feeling of people in general, whether they're in market or not. Just you're on watching March Madness and you see an Alfa commercial on, it's kind of like, oh man, these guys are together, they're buying March Madness, they clearly got it going on. Dealers get excited, customers get excited. Even if they're not buying, when you buy a premium car, you want somebody else to be like, oh yeah, it's an Alfa? Oh, I get you, I see it. Yeah, I saw that thing on TV. There's this reinforcement factor of working through that, where I think those two together, that's been the most efficient way to drive the metrics through our funnel, from an overall visits down to our lower funnel activity and then converting into an application. Those are really our 3 biggest metrics that we use, so we tie them back to that strategy.
Over here. Oh, we have one over here?
Yeah, right here. Steve.
Okay.
Steve.
Whoop. I
can't see him either.
Yeah, there's one mic, so I'm right.
Okay.
Oh.
Let's do this one and then we'll go across here. We have time.
Hi, I'm Tammy Greenberg. I'm with the Radio Advertising Bureau. I was actually at the ANA, the Association of National Advertiser Media Conference last week, and there was a lot of conversation around how hot audio is right now, and most specifically as the world is becoming more and more adept at voice and using artificial intelligence speakers and stuff to ask for what they want. So I'm wondering if you all have an audio strategy and if you've put thought behind developing a sonic brand, and if there's anything that if you could just elaborate on that.
No, I don't think, it's not really something that we've gone to in that realm. Obviously, look, launching the brand and the amount of resources that we can put at it, I think there's a lot of flowers to water. And there's a lot of things that we need to work through. So I will call it maybe some of the more core fundamental strategies is really kind of in our playbook right now. That one I know gives a return. It's super interesting, by the way, what you bring up. We certainly try to find different, unique, cutting edge tactics and different things that we can do from that standpoint, but not something that we've gravitated to. I think there's a lot of opportunity that we've just to fill the different buckets. We talked about broadcast and social media, and we've got a bit of a playbook going in that space. That's not something that we've rounded out with, but I'm actually intrigued as well to see what you bring up and where you go, what other opportunities are, and what the proper playbook is to actually execute it and get the efficiency. So I'm probably a little bit more paranoid in that space of, look, once I got something working, unless it's broke, I'm not gonna fix it. So we keep marching through this and we continue to see our volume grow. and I like the data return. So there's also, we talk about data. Having consistent data on what we're building is super imperative because it helps me develop the strategy on the question we just had previously. So having consistency in what we're building, continuously tweaking and adjusting every week with our partners, it goes a long way. But your question is super interesting, where I think the market can develop.
Over here.
I was just wondering how Alfa Romeo leverages its racing heritage, motorsport racing heritage, for the consumer brand.
Yeah, so when it comes to racing, I think first, there's just a legitimacy where if you build an affiliation to a racing brand like F1, whether you're an F1 fan in the United States or you're not, I think everybody universally agrees it's the most difficult racing circuit in the world. So to be a part of something like that, it also legitimizes not only that you're here, but two, that you're not kidding around. And if you say that you're going to build performance cars, your cars need to deliver not only on the track from F1, but you're also going to see some pretty incredible vehicles at our dealerships with quadrifolios and even our base powertrains. So, and then from us, just the legitimate learnings that come from being on a racing team like F1 that we can apply real world applications to our cars. I mean, if you didn't stop and explain to somebody that we've got a carbon fiber drive shaft that's directly driven from an F1 experience, or that the adjustable pedals on the side are set up a particular way off of the column to be driven off of F1, which is directly where it's inspired from to deliver that driving experience, all of those little nuances help articulate an incredible story and deliver a very unique product that not necessarily our competitors approach that way. So I don't think there could have been a better move. And me personally, which I don't know every single thing about F1, but the reception already in the US and what historically isn't necessarily as followed as maybe in Europe has been overwhelming. That's one of the things that absolutely surprised me.
We have time for one more.
Hi, Greg Hughes from Intercom Communications. You talked about email and TV and digital. Does radio play a part in your marketing objectives across the U.S.?
Yeah, we actually were talking through radio. We have part of that. There's part of the tier 2 and definitely pick in particular markets to drive home the message. Anything on an awareness building, Brad, that I can drive home, and constantly hearing the term Alfa Romeo. I mean, there's some people, I mean, we kind of joke where they'll say an Alfa Romero, or they're still learning, they don't know. You know, where I really like to see the brand go, and there's the voiceover with radio in particular, there's a cachet that goes with the brand. And if we can get to the point where you sit next to the guy next to you and go, hey, what do you drive? I drive an Alfa. When that term alone has a cachet and a value to it, that's when we know we're headed in the right path. So I like radio in that element to continue to sort of drive home the message. I've heard the term Alfa Romeo. I know how to say it. I know how to drive home that thing. I think we can get our message across and definitely sort of get people excited. Oh yeah, I heard about that. Oh yeah, now I've seen one. Now I've seen it on social, and it continuously reinforces where I'm trying to get you to stop into my dealership and see what's going on. Maybe this is a car for me. So yeah, no, like radio as well.
Bob, we'll have you back soon to check if that's the case.
All right.
Bob, thank you very much.
Guys, I appreciate your time. Thank you.